Hey, Mike with MikesBags, and today I am reviewing the Rougarou 2.0 by Nola Bags. And when I think of Nola Bags, I always think of unique, different materials. It seems like every time I get a bag from them, that's what they have. This Rougarou 2.0 is no exception. The slow side material, which is what's different. I didn't know. I never threw the regular original Rougarou. I just threw these. So I reached out to Nola and asked Billy about the differences, and it's the slow side. The original one had a true carpet material on it. And when they came with 2.0, they changed this over to a hybrid material. So the slow side is a hybrid material. It's very unique. I've never seen it in any other bag. I've never felt the material. It's a texture material. It has a nice grip to it. When I first got these bags, I really expected this material to play slower. It just felt like a slower, stickier material. The bags were still a little stiff. And I thought this material was going to stay stiff. I really did. It's a thicker material, it feels like, on there. I thought it was going to stay stiff. So when I first started throwing it, I didn't like it because, one, it was quicker than I expected and it was stiffer than I wanted. Really wasn't sure. But as I threw, I kept noticing it was starting to loosen up. It was starting to break in. So I gave it time, put some time in. I've had these for a few weeks, working them to get them to where I felt like they should be. And it seemed like here over the last week or so of throwing them, they've really gotten to where I think they should be. And honestly, as I said, I thought this was going to play slower. It just never really slowed down to where I expected it to. But I've come to realize and accept that it's not a slow material. It really is. It plays between like a 5 and a 6 speed across most conditions. A 5.5 is probably a good number, but I mean, it depends. You know, boards are stickier, slower conditions can play a 5. Boards are faster, plays like a 6. It's 6. It doesn't really get out of control on the fast side. It doesn't get too slow on the slow side. It really stays in this range. Even when boards get damp and sticky from humidity, it still plays fairly consistently in that range. So right around a 5.5 on the slow side, which gives the bag a ton of versatility. That's why these hybrid materials become so popular, is because they don't have big speed swings in them as other materials do, and they're right in the middle for most players. So it gives you that versatility to play a whole game, or to play a dirty style game. You kind of mix it up. It really gives you a lot of versatility, a lot of options to do. And this material is no exception. You have a ton of versatility with how you can play. You have control with it, but you can also run bags with it, as you'll see here. Now, the day I went out and threw these, it was a cold, dry day. Boards were on the quicker side, so there's not as many blockers. I mean, I think I threw a few up there just to show that I could do them, but it was more of a conditions where I'm running bags in the hole, and you'll see this bag does a great job. This material, even though it has control of how well it grabbed that hole and dripped in. So anyway, but a 5.5 slow slide. Fast side, this is if it's not the same, it's very similar to the Viking Pro Advantage fast side material. It's at kind of that 7 speed. I think some companies call it an 8. I think Nola's had a 7 to 8 was there, somewhere in that speed range. So like 7, 7.5, something like that on the fast side. It's fast, but you have control with it. I do like this controllable fast side material on bags, because I tend to be more of a harder thrower. I don't always need a 9, 9.5, 10 speed fast side. Sometimes they'll become too fast where I can only throw them in certain situations. But with a fast like this, it still has control that even on an open board, I can flip it over if I want to and just throw fast side down. I can play a round, I can play a game, I can play a tournament, nothing but fast side down if I want to. If I just feel like I want a faster bag, maybe for whatever reason, I want to throw faster, or maybe maybe I'm having more success throwing a higher arc, softer landing bag, I can flip it over and go slick side with that if I really want to, and then just go slow side when I want to throw a blocker or cause a little more congestion around the board. I can do that. So it gives you a ton of versatility. Having these two controllable materials gives you a ton of versatility with the bag, a lot of options of what you can do with it. But anyway, we're about 5.5 slow, 7, 7.5 on the fast side on this. Template wise, it's a medium template bag. It's got a medium amount of fill. It's a medium amount of flop. As I mentioned when I first got the bags, I thought they were going to be stiffer, because both these materials are on the thicker side. Like this is not a thick material on the fast side, but it's thick for a fast side material. This hybrid material is definitely a thicker material. So I was expecting the bags to be stiffer, and they're not, but they're not overly floppy either. You can see, that's why I call them medium amount of flop. Like you've got flop here, but you've still got some puffiness on both sides. So that kind of gives you that right down the middle type feel to it to me. The fill in here is a mixed fill. I think it's the same fill that I've seen in the other Nola bags. There's some beads in here. There's some of that flat fill, that thicker flat fill. I don't feel any flat discs in here. So it seems like there's a nice little mix. I like the way the fill plays in this bag. It gives you enough action that you can play those cuts, rolls, flops with it, but it's not overly aggressive on the kicks on you, so it's not going to punish you if you're not throwing the flattest of bags. It also gives the bag a lot of, I say, drippiness. Those beads want to really kind of drip and cascade in the hole. So you'll see a lot of times these bags get up there, they grab the hole, spin around, they slow it, and then they just kind of drip right in. And a lot of that has to do with the fill in the bag. So I really like this mixture of fill that Nola's using in their bags. I think it works really well in this bag here itself. So these bags are ACL stamped for 2024. These have the Pro stamp on them. For 2024, so you play ACL bench, you can throw throw these Rougarou 2.0s out there. Let's go ahead and jump in and talk about playability on this. And this is a bag that is, as I mentioned, it's a versatile bag, right? You've got this versatile material that you can get up there and you can play a dirty style game. And when I was first throwing these bags, first trying to get a feel for them, I was playing them more in a dirty style game, because in my mind, like I said, I thought this was going to be a slower bag. I really feel like that's how it wanted to be played. And you can play that and you can have success with it. But once I accepted the fact that this is actually more of a mid-speed material, like I said, that 5.5, 6 speed range, then I really changed my play style and became more of a, I'm going to run bags in the hole, and I'm going to throw a blocker up here and there when I need to, or if I'm behind in the game, I need manufactured points, I'll play a dirty style round here or there. I'll mix it up. You know, if I get an opponent who doesn't like blockers, I'll throw more blockers. If I get an opponent who maybe isn't very consistent and you know what, I can just outrun them and score that way, then that's what I'm going to do. It gives you a ton of versatility. And then because you have this somewhat active fill in here, and you've got this material that has a little bit of bite to it, I can get up there and I can throw cut shots with it. So I can step up there if I need to. My opponent throws a blocker, I don't have to go through it. I don't have to airmail it. I can cut around it. You know, it's a bag that if you're a roll flop style player, you can definitely do that. Maybe not the easiest bag, because there is some flop here. Maybe not the easiest bag to roll out there, but it's definitely a bag you can roll. If you're an average to above average roll bag player, you can roll this bag. So it gives you tons of options for how you want to play. The bag has enough flop to it that it really does a good job of grabbing that hole. So when I talk about the forgiveness around the hole and landing zones of bags, typically carpet bags have a smaller landing zone, those fuller carpet bags, and then those large floppy bags have a wide landing zone. This is kind of bigger than normal because there's enough flop here, and you'll see as I'm missing the hole a little bit left or right, the bag, that corner's still gripping, and once it grips, if it can just dip in that hole, it's going to catch, pull around, and bring this bag right back in. The bags do a pretty good job of melting on their own. If there were some hanging, they were pretty collectible. I didn't have an issue with collecting bags. I didn't think I really had to be overly aggressive too often to go after them. I mean, if a bag's on the back edge just hanging there, it's not going to go on your own without really trying to throw a high airmail drag to come and grab it. But bags on the front, on the sides, weren't that hard to collect, especially on the sides. If I had to, I could step out on my side and collect them, or if on the other side, I could throw a cut, come across, and just clip it. I didn't have to go too aggressive. You know, all you gotta do is get that corner moving, and once you get that fill moving, the bags will drip back in. For blockers and collectability, even though the bag has flop to it, it's not overly floppy, so it wasn't accordioning up like a really floppy bag was. So I didn't have problems collecting when there was a bag sitting up there. And you've got enough speed on this fast side that you can flip the bag over if you need to, and especially on my last bag. A lot of times on the second and third, if I have a first bag blocker, my second and third, I'm going slow side usually to push and replace, fast side to clean up. Now, if you're trying to push multiple bags, you might throw a little harder because this is not a blazing fast side like you get on some other bags. But you can definitely collect with this bag. I have no problem collecting with it. Like I said, this is a fast side you typically find on traditional carpet bags. So if you're a carpet bag thrower, a traditional carpet bag thrower, you're familiar with throwing with a bag like this. And maybe this is that next step up. Maybe you throw those Vikings, the Pro Advantages, those style bags, and you're looking for a bag to step up. It's a little faster. This Rougarou 2.0 is kind of a step up to a little bit faster version, but still has some familiarity to it. You know, if you're a fast bag thrower and you're looking for a step down to a more controllable bag, this gives you an option as well. Because like I said, this fast side is very similar to the slow side of a lot of fast bags. So you have some familiarity, and that you can flip it over, go fast side down, run your bags in the hole, and then when you need to, flip it over and throw the slow side when you have to throw a blocker, maybe just put a bag on the board or whatever you do. It gives the versatility. So it's definitely a versatile bag. Like I said, you have a ton of abilities with options with shot shaping, cuts, rolls, flops. You can push through. Obviously, you can airmail over. It gives you just a ton of options to manufacture points to put bags in the hole, and I really did like it. I mean, now I will say that, again, the texture, this has a texture to it. This is a little softer material, so there is a contrasting feel in the textures of the materials. Normally, I don't like that, but oddly enough, they do match up really well. Like it didn't bother me when I picked the bag up. I wasn't bothered. Like sometimes I get bothered when you have a really soft material or really thin material, and maybe that's it. Like neither of these are very thin. If this was a thinner material on the fast side, compared to this texture, maybe that becomes a problem. But you've got similar thickness in materials, just one's soft, one's not, and maybe that's why. But whatever reason, I didn't have an issue when I was gripping this bag. I feel like, it feels weird in my hand. I think Nola did a good job pairing this fast side up with this slow side. I really do like the way it plays. I like the options it gives you. So if you're looking for a bag like that, definitely check out these Rougarou 2.0s. Leads me to availability. Nola has a website, NolaBags.com. Be a link down in the description for you guys. These bags were $70. plus I think it was $10 shipping. So 80 bucks all in shipped to you, which is a great price. One of the cheaper prices you get on ACL, especially ACL Pro Stamp bags. 80 bucks shipped to you is a phenomenal price. Definitely check them out. If you've thrown the Rougarou 2.0s, I'd love to hear your feedback, what you like, what you don't like. Drop a comment down below. I thank you guys so much for your support, and I thank you for watching.